If you're a salon or spa owner working nonstop, barely paying yourself, and terrified to step away because it might all fall apart, you're not alone. Most salon and spa owners were never taught the business side of this industry, and that makes it feel impossible to get ahead. Welcome to the station, where we give you the structure, systems, and strategies to step into the CEO seat and lead like the legend you are. Hey friends, welcome back to the station, the podcast for salon and spa owners who are tired of working hard without real progress and finally ready to build something sustainable, profitable, and people first. I'm Bree, founder of the Beauty Biz Agency, and as always, I've got my amazing co-host, co-founder, and bestie here with me today. Hey Chandra, how are you?
Hello, doing good today.
Awesome. Well, today we are talking about one of the most underused and most misunderstood leadership tools in salon and spas, and that is one-on-one meetings. Here's the reality. Some of you guys out there aren't doing these at all. Others are doing them, but not in a way that makes any real difference. You've had these meetings for months, maybe even years, but your performance isn't improving, behaviors aren't shifting in any way, and nothing is actually sticking. Doesn't mean you're a bad leader. We're not saying that. It just means maybe what you are calling a one-on-one isn't really a one-on-one meeting. Because there's a really big difference between like a quick check-in and a real intentional conversation. Done wrong, one-on-ones, they are just another calendar block that everybody dreads. But done right, they can completely change the way that your team trusts you, the way that they perform, and the way that your culture feels. Chandra, how important do you think one-on-ones are?
I think they're one of the most important things that you can do with your team, especially if you're trying to build a solid culture. You definitely have to have these in your calendar.
I agree 100%. Before we dive in, I just want to share a quick story from one of our BBA members. She came to us swearing that she was already doing one-on-ones. So we asked her, okay, walk us through kind of what that looks like. And she said, well, I'll catch them at the front desk or back in the broke room, ask how things are going, and ask them if they're hitting their goals. Now, I love her honesty, but let's be honest, that's not a one-on-one. One-on-ones need privacy. They require prep and follow-up. They need to give the employee space to be able to open up, and they need to give the owner the chance to actually coach and guide. So here's what we did. We gave her our BBA one-on-one blueprint and helped her roll it out the right way. We brought her team into the process as well, because that's really important. Not in a way that turned into this vent or gripe session, but in a way that made them connect with the meetings and actually look forward to them. Yes, you heard me right. When they're done right, your team will look forward to them. The other big shift, we tied the meetings directly to her KPIs and benchmarks. Suddenly, these weren't just random conversations. They had structure, they had purpose. Her stylist could see exactly what matters, where they stood, and what growth actually looked like for them in the salon. Within 90 days, one stylist who had just kind of coasted for over a year, she finally blew past her retail goals. Another one consistently hit 90% pre-book for the first time in her career of 5 years. And on top of all of that, the salon's revenue went up $8,000 and profitability jumped up 5%. That is the power of one-on-ones when they are done right. Chandra, you and I have seen this happen over and over and over again. What do you think is one of the biggest shifts you notice when owners move from that distracted check-in to real in-depth one-on-one meetings?
I think that they really start to connect with their team and they understand better how to lead them and how to actually get them to do the things that need to be done throughout like their career path or however that's laid out for your salon. I think they don't realize how invested their employees could be, until they start doing actual, real, in-depth one-on-ones and they realize that, they might have a really good team who wants to help the salon succeed as a whole, but we don't realize that or think that if we're not doing a really good one-on-one.
Yeah, I think that is a huge thing that happens, right? We really don't realize how invested our team could be. I couldn't have said that any better. That was an amazing way to put that. It really does happen when they're done right. So let's dive in. Last episode, we dug into the career growth plans, right? Building those individual KPIs, the benchmarks, the level systems, so that your employees can see exactly what it takes to move up to hit six figures plus, whatever it is in your studio. Here's the truth though, that plan, that creation of those things, it only works if you actually bring everything together and bring it to life. A growth plan that just sits on paper, it's never going to change anybody's career or their life. It's just not going to happen. The natural next step, the part that makes those benchmarks actually mean something, is this one-on-one meeting that you have to have. Because if you aren't sitting down with your team regularly, if you aren't coaching them through where they're at right now, helping them problem solve when they get stuck, and celebrating them when they hit milestones, then those KPIs and benchmarks, they really don't hold any weight. They're just numbers. One-on-ones are where those career plans stop being theory and they start becoming reality. They're where you move from, right? Here's the system to here's how I'm going to help you actually grow inside of it. And if you're not doing that, you aren't leading, you're not coaching, you're not guiding. You're literally managing numbers on a page instead of leading people forward. Here's something that Chandra and I see over and over again when it comes to these one-on-one meetings. I think most owners kind of fall into three camps. And Chandra, I'd love to get your opinion on this when we get through them. Camp one is the owners who just aren't doing them at all. They think that that quick chat right in the broke room or, hey, how's it going at the front desk, that those are enough. But those little drive-by conversations, they don't create accountability. They don't build trust, and they definitely don't connect someone's day-to-day work to their bigger career goals. Without structure, those quick chats, they're just kind of noise in the background. Camp number two is the owner who only pulls someone in when there's drama or when there's an issue. That makes one-on-one feel like it's a punishment, right? Your team starts associating these private meetings with being in trouble. And instead of leaning in, they are going to pull back, they're going to get defensive, and they're going to shut down. And then camp number three are the owners who are technically doing one-on-ones, but they're not done in a way that creates growth. They sit down with good intentions, but the meeting turns into this huge numbers dump. You walk through pre-book, retail, productivity, they nod. You both leave that meeting feeling like you've just wasted 20 minutes of your life. Here's the problem. If all you're doing is reciting numbers, your employee is never going to feel like you are helping them, like you have their back, like you're supporting them. They just feel measured. And that is not good for anyone involved. I actually think there's probably a fourth camp that I just kind of thought of, and that is for the owners who are still behind the chair, right? They don't have the time to actually do any of this at all. So what they're doing is, sitting down some random day, last minute, just kind of, here you go. This is what it is. This is how it, oh, I got to go get back to my client now. You know what I mean? And that's a really bad camp to be in. Chandra, when you hear me kind of break these down, which camp do you think most of these owners are going to fall into? And why do you think that is?
I mean, I think the third one or the fourth one, I would say, is probably where most of them fall into. I know I was guilty of the third one for many years because I knew what they needed to do. I sort of had a career plan, but I didn't even really know what to do with those numbers to tell them what to do with the numbers. So we'd sit down and we'd talk about it and we'd go over the numbers and then nothing would happen. And so I think that the third one is probably the most common where most owners are. And that fourth one, because I've also been there too, where you're behind the chair and you're trying to squeeze all these things in. And so they're not effective because they're rushed and last minute. And yeah.
Well, I feel like it's almost a domino effect from camp to camp, right? At some points, because maybe we start with, all right, here's all these numbers and we're going to be really strict about these. And this is all we're going to talk about. And then we get to the point to where, okay, nobody's really doing that. Nobody's hitting those numbers. So now we're just going to call them in when they're in trouble. And then we don't even have time for that. So then we just get to the point to where we talk to them at the front desk or in the broke room or at their station when they're with a client or whatever it is. And then We just get so busy behind the chair, we don't do any of the above. So I feel like it kind of just ripples its way down a lot of times.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, why do one on ones mean so much and matter to you as the owner and your business? They're not just about tracking numbers. Please get that out of your mind because that's what we hear all the time and it's not what it is. They are about shaping your culture, keeping your team, and fueling growth in every way possible. When you show up consistently in these conversations, you're telling your team, I see you. I care about you. I care about where you're headed. I am invested in your future. That is the kind of leadership that is going to create loyalty, and loyalty is what is going to keep your best people from walking out the door. Chandra, from your perspective, what changes the fastest when an owner finally starts leading these meetings consistently? The culture, the team's performance, or the owners themselves?
I mean, I think the culture starts to shift pretty much immediately. I think that the team starts to feel more comfortable. They start to trust more. They start to be more excited about actually trying to hit these numbers and trying to do these things. So I think the culture is a huge shift. And then I think the leadership of the owner tends to be another one that I think happens pretty quickly too, is they start stepping up, they start changing how they're leading their team. And then, it's kind of like a domino effect, like all the camps. I feel like once this starts to get better, then this one starts to get better, the team performance gets better, that everything just starts to shift and change when you are really implementing all of those things.
Absolutely. And let's just be honest and call a spade a spade. Salon and spa owners are horrible when it comes to consistency. It is one of our biggest downfalls. You notice I said our biggest downfalls because I was horrible about it too. This isn't just about calling you guys out. This is what we have lived like for years and years and years until we finally figured it out and got it right. So this is a great way to start building consistency as a leader is just having these one-on-ones. And once you start building consistency there, you're going to notice the drastic impact that it has, and you'll start being consistent in other areas of business ownership. I think we have to talk about the financial side. Every stylist who advances inside of your level system, every stylist who learns how to raise, their benchmarks and hit them consistently, that is revenue growth for them, but it's also revenue growth for your salon. They go hand in hand. That's how you move from a team full of busy stylists to a team of six-figure stylists, to be honest. And when that happens, if you are doing things right, your profit margins are going to rise as well. But here's the key. What makes these meetings actually work is you showing up as the coach. We cannot say that enough. Being a coach means having the guts, having the cojones to say the thing that needs to be said, right? Without sugarcoating it, but also without tearing someone down completely. You have to find that middle ground. It means creating space so that you can celebrate wins. Because if the only time that you sit down and talk to them is when you're telling them that they did something wrong all the time, that trust is it can go away overnight if you do that. It really can. The hardest part of these meetings, it isn't the structure of them. I think it's your headspace as an owner. Because if you walk in and you are carrying guilt because you've maybe avoided leadership and not done your job, or if you are bracing for conflict or impact just immediately out of the gate, your team is going to feel that energy before you ever even open your mouth. They are going to shut down before you even get started with the meeting. But if you walk in, you're calm, you're clear, you're ready to listen, you're prepared, they're going to open up. That's when they will stop seeing you as the boss who just demands things, and they will start seeing you as the coach that is in their corner. We have worked with so many salon owners on this, Chandra. What do you think is one of the biggest mindset shifts that you've seen them have to make before their one-on-ones actually start working?
I think really the biggest mindset shift would be kind of thinking about how you want this employee to succeed. Because I think sometimes as salon owners, we're always just thinking about ourselves, our business, the 500 things we have to do. Or, I mean, unfortunately, I've even heard it in the industry where sometimes they're afraid to help them succeed because they think they'll leave and go somewhere else, or they think they're going to have to pay them too much and not have enough money left over. And so I think really shifting that mindset to be for the employee. Like when I go into my one-on-ones, that's what I think about before each one is, okay, where are they at? How can I help them succeed today? And all the other stuff goes away because I'm not thinking about anything else except for that going into that meeting. So I think really thinking about your employee, thinking about what you want that meeting outcome to be and how you're going to help them with anything that they might be struggling with.
I'm not going to lie, it chaps my hide that in this industry, I am on a rant today. In this industry, salon owners don't want to build future leaders. That is so freaking stupid. It makes me angry. People hold people back intentionally because they don't want them to go start their own salon or become, bigger than what they are as the owner. That is a horrible, horrible thing. And we should be ashamed if we ever think that. And I hear it all the time. I see it on Facebook all the time. I see it everywhere. You need to be a leader, and a leader builds future leaders, period. Period. Nothing should make you more proud than having somebody who comes to you with no clientele, not being built, not making any money, to being a 6-figure plus owner who wants to go out and start their own salon and teach people the right way, the way that you taught them. Like, I get chills when I think about it. That is an amazing, amazing thing. All right, I'm off my soapbox now. Here's another hard truth. If you don't follow up, your words, they lose all power. If you've ever said, you know what, we will check in on this in 2 weeks, and then you just never brought it up again, your credibility just took a hit, and a big one at that. Nothing is going to kill trust faster than broken follow through. Salon owners are notorious for this as well, consistency and follow through. It's just what we do. And I get it. We have a lot on our plate. I understand. But when you learn to circle back, when you learn to hold them accountable, hold yourself accountable, and when you celebrate their progress, your words actually stick. They matter. They mean something. Chandra, why do you think owners are so notorious for not following through? They always say they're going to, but they don't always do it.
I mean, I think it's two things because I used to be bad at this many years ago too. And I think one of them is disorganization. We're running in too many directions, trying to do too many different things. And we're saying we're going to do something, but we're not necessarily like immediately putting it in our calendar or immediately like making a note of it. And so then you forget, you get busy, you forget, not like 2 months go by, and then you remember that you were supposed to do that. And so I think the biggest problem is that consistency. They're too busy and they're not making a priority out of these things. And so they're disorganized. That would be my top few things that causes that.
So what is the fix for that for a lot of salon owners out there? I mean, we know exactly what it is, one sentence, but what would you say the fix is?
I mean, I just think that mindset shift, you have to make it a priority. It has to be your top priority are these things in your business. It's not your clients in your chair. Like that's what you think your priority is, but it's just not. Like you have to make these people and where they're going your priority. I think that if you do that, then you automatically will remember to do all those things.
Yeah, getting out from behind the chair, getting out of that service provision role, being the leader, the visionary, the guide, everything that you are supposed to be in your business. We say this all the time. You are one person. You are never going to be able to generate enough income on your own to keep a full business open like that and take care of your team. When you pour your focus and your dedication and your passion into your team, your business is going to grow tenfold. It just is. That's how it works. One thing that I want to talk about is vision. And I think there's a huge disconnect when it comes to the vision. The numbers matter, don't get me wrong, but they're not the whole point of all of this. The point of these one-on-ones and these career growth plans is showing your team how hitting those numbers actually connects to what they want, their vision. Maybe it's financial freedom. Maybe it's leadership opportunities. Maybe it's just the pride of finally hitting that next milestone or that next promotion or whatever it is. When you tie the numbers back to their bigger future, these meetings, they stop feeling like you are micromanaging, because that's a word that we hear all the time. I don't want to micromanage, so I better not have one-on-ones. But you stop feeling like you're micromanaging, and you start feeling like you are creating a roadmap for your members. Why do you think stylists respond so differently when the numbers are tied to their goals instead of just the salon's wants, needs, and desires, Chandra?
Well, I think because then they can actually see what they're doing and how it's going to benefit them. Like if they want to buy a car and we're like, we sit down and we talk about, hey, you can get your average ticket up to here. If you save X amount of dollars, you don't even have to be affected in your normal daily spending. You'll have that car by X date, right? And so they start to realize that these numbers actually impact their income, how they live their life, what their quality of life is like, what all of that is for them. Instead of just A, they're just numbers and I don't know what they do, or B, yeah, it's just for the salon's benefit. So why do I care? And so I think when you can switch their mindset to shift to knowing exactly where they're going and how you can help them get there, and how if the salon is successful, everybody wins, then that's why that works. It's the simplest thing. It really is such a simple thing to.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think the mentality that a lot of stylists, even salon and spa owners have is just work more, add more days, add more hours, do this, do that. When in reality, if you are having these one-on-one meetings with these KPIs, these benchmarks, these level systems, career growth plans, all the things, they don't need to do that. They usually don't need to add 3 more days to their calendar. They don't usually need to add 20 more hours of work per week. When you are coaching them, guiding them, helping them, you're increasing every single client's worth in your studio, which in turn is going to help them make more money with the same hours that they're working. A lot of times, when this is done correctly, we see employees able to work less and make almost double. You know what I mean? And that's really, really important. Guys, all of these reasons are why one-on-ones just aren't optional. And they're not extra. Quit thinking of them as extra work. They are a tool that brings your career growth plans to life. They really anchor your structure. They anchor your culture. They keep your best people around, and they are going to grow your revenue and your profitability if you're doing things right at the same time. So let's talk about how you can actually start doing these one-on-ones correctly in your salon in a way that is going to help you see your employees grow and in turn, your business grow. Number one is you have to create your rhythm and you have to stick to it. Decide how often these one-on-ones are going to happen, monthly, every 6 weeks, every week, whatever it is, and then protect that rhythm with everything. Consistency is what makes these powerful. You need to be blocking these out for the entire year on your calendar and theirs as the owner. Very, very important. Do not just cancel them. Don't do that unless there is a major, major reason. Do not cancel them. They are mandatory for you and for the employee. Number two, you need to give your employees something to fill out beforehand. A simple form where they write down what they feel is going well, where they feel like they're struggling, and what their bigger goals or dreams are. This is going to make the meeting more personal, not just numbers driven. Step number three is to choose the right environment. Sorry, my brain kind of went crazy for a second. You have to choose the right environment. Privacy matters when it comes to this. There shouldn't be front desk distractions, no clients listening in, no other employees listening in. These conversations, they deserve a quiet, focused space, in my opinion. Next, open with curiosity. You need to start with questions that are going to open the door. What's been feeling good for you lately? What's one thing that's been challenging for you? Something that is open-ended that is going to get them talking preferably that is going to drop their guard, right? And then set a short-term focus. Each one-on-one should end with one clear goal for the next at least 30 days. You know what I mean? 14 days, whatever it is. You don't need 5 of these. You don't need 10 of these. You just need one goal. Like it's that simple. That way progress is measurable all the time. Because when it's not, you have no idea what's happening. And then you have to document and revisit. You need to write it down, write that goal down. At the start of the next one-on-one, you want to circle back to what you guys agreed on, right? Progress or lack of progress has to get addressed in these meetings. It's really important. You always want to make sure that you check in prior to the next one-on-one as well. Don't wait 30 days to see how they're doing, if that's what you've said. Do a quick mid-month check-in, even if it's just, hey, how's it going with your rebooking? That just shows them that you're paying attention and it's going to keep them accountable in real time. Chandra, when owners follow this process consistently, what is the biggest impact you see, not just in the employee, but in the business overall?
Service revenue definitely goes up. Retail revenue definitely goes up. And I think just the overall morale of your team and the culture goes up. Like everything, everybody's busier, everybody's happier, everything's running in a way that is predictable and smooth, and that makes everybody more comfortable. And so I think that's the biggest thing. You're going to make more money and you're going to have a happier team. I can't think of anything that would be better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I know we hear owners say all the time, people aren't driven by money anymore, but you have to have money to live. And when you're busy and you're making money, everybody's going to be happy, right? All right, before we close out, let's get to this week's listener question. It comes from Jasmine in Texas. All right, Chandra, here it is. What do I do when a stylist constantly compares themselves to other team members? They say things like, she gets all the new clients, or he has it easier than me. Tell me your thoughts on this one.
Well, I actually just had to deal with this recently. It wasn't with stylists, but it was with us new assistants. We have a bunch at one time. And one of them is further along than the other one, just in general. So she kind of she's in a different place, but they're constantly comparing. If we send someone home, how come she gets to go home? Or how come I have to go home and she doesn't get, like, it's just this tit for tat, right? So I get this. I think the biggest thing, I always pull them one-on-one and kind of find out where they're at, what they're seeing, what they're thinking, because I think that they have a perspective that may not be the true perspective or may not be the right perspective, but I may not understand where they're coming from, because I might be just hearing these things and thinking, what is your problem? Like, nobody's getting that, you know? And then really paying attention too, once you kind of know where their mindset is and what they're thinking, pay attention to what you're doing as well, because maybe you are kind of doing this and you don't even realize it. Maybe you are playing favorites and it's something that you're not even noticing. And so definitely, pay attention to those two things, I think, because you'll probably catch whatever's going on by doing that, and then dealing with it head on. Like my situation, for example, with these guys, I kind of find out where they both were and I pulled them both in together. So we explained together like where everything was at and where, we were coming from and where they were coming from. And then it's fine now, so I think communication is huge in those situations. Like you got to find out where everybody is, hit it head on, and then go from there.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely great. It also reminded me of something that we talked about yesterday with our members, and that was looking through the lens of positive intent, right? And I think that is something that we don't do often enough. You just modeled that very, very well. You looked inside yourself first and you said, okay, I might be thinking, oh my gosh, they're annoying. What the heck is going on here? But you were able to kind of shift that and see maybe there's something deeper going on. Let me find out what they have to say. That is why you are such an amazing leader at your salon. Just got to say that. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Here's the truth. Career growth plans and benchmarks, they are never going to mean anything without follow through. The only way that they actually work is if you sit down consistently with your team, you coach them through the hard spots, and you celebrate them when they grow and do things well. That is what one-on-ones are really all about. If you are serious about building six-figure stylists, if you want a team that actually stays and grows with you in your studio And if you are ready to start leading, guiding, and coaching and impacting your team, these one-on-ones are your next move, right? They're not optional. They are the engine that is going to drive culture, retention, revenue, and profit in your salon. And if you are ready for more support as you step into that CEO role in your business, make sure you head over to www.thebeautybizagency.com, grab some of our free resources to get you started, and then check out some of our coaching options. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, leave us a review, and share it with another salon or spa owner. The more of us who do this work together, the stronger our teams and our industry are going to become. Chandra, how can everybody listening keep up with all the exciting things we have going on at the Beauty Biz Agency?
Yeah, definitely reach out to us on social media at the Beauty Biz Agency on Facebook or Instagram, or the Beauty Biz Mentors on TikTok, and pop on to our Facebook Live on YouTube, YouTube and Facebook, the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. Central Time. We answer questions on the air, and there's always some good information and free resources that we give away. So definitely, come see us there.
You've been listening to the station. Until next time, lead with clarity, hold yourself and your team accountable, and coach your team in a way that actually moves the needle for your employees and for your business. Now go out there, make bank, run the show, and ditch that chair. And as always, keep slaying those business goals with a whole lot of swagger.